It's our anniversary, and I love you more and more each day. Baby, it's our anniversary. Just one more day, I'll get to say I love you.
Good morning, sunshine. It's a new day. Are you ready to recommit once again to this friendship we say we want to last forever? Because these last 24 hours have been like a whirlwind that's kept me twirling. And I can't wait to get up and celebrate the day with you again and play with you again on this ride called life until it's time to lay with you again. And then tomorrow, we'll wake up and appreciate it all over again. Like we've been doing for how long now? Wow. Time moves too fast for us not to cast our fears away and kiss our tears away. And I promise you that I'm here to stay because you deserve me. And I deserve to be happy. And quite frankly, you make me happier than I ever thought I could be. And every day is our anniversary because it should be.
And I love you more and more each day. Baby, it's our anniversary. Feels brand new each time I say
Yes, yes, yes.
love
It's our anniversary, Nick.
It's our anniversary. Just one more day, I'll get to say I love you.
I fall in love again with you every single day. In fact,
All right, everybody. What's going on out there? Welcome to another episode of Family Finance Friday with DJ the Money Coach and Nick Westbrooks. This show is brought to you by the DJ the Money Coach team and the 7 Spheres of Money systems. And before we get started, go ahead and like this video, share, and subscribe to DJ the Money Coach right here on YouTube so we can help spread the gospel of the pom-pom lifestyle, which is plenty of money, peace of mind. And so we can invite you and everyone else to join us on the beaches of the World Club. And tonight's beach is, our anniversary is coming. our anniversary is coming. And we're gearing up for the anniversary. And also tonight we'll be talking about the topic of Vanity, Angel Reese, and NIL $40 million Slaves 2.0. Woo, that's a doozy of a title there. And DJ, what you showing up there? $40 million slaves? Let me blow that up. $40 million.
Right. So they'll know what we mean when we're talking about 2.0.
Yeah.
This book was written in, I think it was 2006. 2006. So you'll have context to what we mean by $40 million slave 2.0 in today. So go check this book out.
The Rise, Fall, and Redemption of the Black Athlete. That's the subtitle there.
There you go, baby. And it was written by a Chicago native, William Roden, who unfortunately he used to be a righteous man. Now he's a sellout. So that's another story. But it's indicative of the conversation that we're having tonight. So first and foremost, to all those out there who are of the faith, of the Christian faith, wish them a happy Good Friday. Yes. And want to shout out to our brothers and sisters for Ramadan as well. So we just want to get that shout out. So we salute you to your religious holiday, and we give praise and honor to the Most High. So, man, it's been a whirlwind week. And, I think our society, our society has gone off the rails in America. Our society has gone off the rails, and it's a shame, but it's been coming for a long time. And I think we just saw, what is the word I'm looking for? It's not cascade, but it's when it reaches the peak. Help me out, English major guy. A crescendo. Is it a crescendo?
A
crescendo. So you're gonna understand what I'm saying, and shout out to my hometown, Chicago, baby. That if I ain't wearing the pom lifestyle, plenty of money, peace of mind, what we don't do on this show, we don't advertise anything that we don't have equity and ownership, and this is pertinent to this show right now. But since I'm born and raised from the Chi, baby, much love to Chi-Town. Chi-Town's been getting a bad name, and they just got elected a new mayor. And again, a lot of people excited about this person, but I'm just keeping a buck. I don't think it's going to be the right you got to check the receipts on people, okay? That's all I'm telling you. Just because somebody has our face and our ethnicity does not necessarily mean that they rep us in the right way, okay? We'll talk about that in another conversation. So here's the deal. We just came off an extraordinary sporting event that set all-time records. It was called the NCAA Final Four, the ladies' Final Four. Albeit, the ladies' Final Four set massive records. Most viewership ever in the history of the ladies' game. And this is a great testament to the ladies' college game because it's actually more entertaining and exciting than the men's game. The men's game was anticlimactic. Why? Because there were 3 non-known schools with, I don't want to say, so I'm going to use the proper word so people don't get upset, which I really don't care, but parity is the word that they lean on nowadays. But what it really is, Nick, it is that mediocrity has become excellence. And since mediocrity has become excellence in America, the viewership for the men's game was down like 40% year over year, because there was only one team that was recognizable that people really knew about that was a potential blue blood program, which is UConn, which won the championship as a 4 seed when the other seeds were like a 5th, a 7th, and a 9th seed. But because there's no face in the Final Four on the men's side that was recognizable across the country, because we're in the portal of now today is one and done. The best players in men's basketball don't even go to college because they go and play in the G League, they play in the Elite League and the Euro to get the money faster. So you don't have any attachment to these programs anymore. So thus they don't have a traveling, fan base. However, on the opposite side of the spectrum, the women are at an all-time high because you saw 3 dominant programs that elevated the viewership, and myself too, man. I was glued into the television because number one, I was looking to see if South Carolina could win back-to-back championships and go undefeated, which would have been like only the 11th school to ever do that in history, and only the 7th school to win a back-to-back. But they ran into a hurricane, and that hurricane was named Caitlin Clark, and she just went ballistic. And the girl can ball. You got to give due to the girl can ball. I'll be the first to say, I was just like, this is another basic Becky, because I saw the predecessor to her named the girl from UConn. Her name is Peggy something, but another girl from UConn that was doing very well, and pageant or something like that, her name, and she was blowing up and she had major injury, so she had to sit out this year. But this Caitlin Clark girl, dude, she's dropping threes from the logo, from mid court with effortlessly. Looked like a Caucasian version of Steph Curry. And last year I started seeing her play. I was like, man, this is hype. She got eliminated early last year, but experience. She's got high, IQ. And I'm not saying she has high IQ because the pigment of her skin. She's just put a lot of work in. She's put her 10,000 hours in, and she knows how to play. And she's an unselfish player, although she can shoot lights out. So I'm thinking, you know what? They're going to come across South Carolina, and South Carolina is going to do a boxing one on her, or they're going to double team her, or they're going to force the other players to make plays, which they didn't. Here's the irony And here's the sad part about it, where unfortunately our women, I'm talking about our women, our black women, they couldn't separate themselves from their loyalty to Don Staley and not be analytical in Don Staley's bad coaching. Because in the first half, their star player, Aaliyah Boston, got in early foul trouble, so she had to sit her down. And they didn't make adjustments in the second half. Great coaching in all sports is about making them halftime adjustments. And Dawn Staley, in her ego, refused to change her program to adjust how Iowa was defending her players. What do I mean by that? They basically were falling back 7 to 10 feet off the point guard for South Carolina and daring her to shoot. And she would not pull the trigger because on the season, she was a 21% three-point shooter and like a 40% two-point field goal shooter. So she became afraid to take the open J. They just gave it to her. And then, in essence, they were able to pack in their defense and stifle South Carolina and beat them at what they have been beating everybody else, which a lot of people call bully ball. Because South Carolina front court had players that were 6'5" and 6'7". And on the Iowa team, the tallest person on the Iowa team was like 6'1", which was only like 2 of them. So they challenged them to become, jump shooters. And to the credit of the Iowa coach, she knew that they did not have perimeter shooters, so she dared them to shoot. And what Dawn Staley didn't do, and this is the problem, Dawn Staley was an All-American, Olympic gold medalist as a point guard. She did not make just adjustments, but then she immediately, when they lost, she immediately went to the victim role. This is what ties into the vanity. Instead of saying, hey, you know what? We got our A's handled to us. I did not do a good job making adjustments and coaching my players. She went right into the victim role, which, here's the irony of it. The black women, and y'all not going to like what I'm saying, they immediately start, what do you call it when they start supporting them? What do they call it? What's the, they use so much different, slang terms. Is it capping or whatever? What they call it when you supporting somebody and you I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So here's my point. Immediately when she started talking about, hey, you guys were calling us bullies. You were saying it was a bar room, brawl. And then she threw in some people, national writers were calling us monkeys. I never heard any of that. And regardless if they had, that does not give you an out for bad coaching. Because if you went into halftime and you were telling your players, they told you this, that, and the other, so that's the reason why we're going to lose, then they already lost mentally. It's one thing, see, I've coached. I haven't coached at the college level, but I have coached high school players. I have coached kids who were getting scholarships to go to college. So I understand coaching. And the one thing I lean on, Nick, is it's an acronym called HEAT. Mm-hmm. Heart, hustle, energy, attitude, and teamwork. Heart, hustle, energy, attitude, and teamwork. You didn't hear me say anything about talent, and you didn't hear me say anything about intelligence. And what you saw on display in that South Carolina-Iowa game is that the Iowa team came with that acronym. They came with the heart, they came with the hustle, they came with the energy, they came with the attitude, and they came with the teamwork. Because they knew outside of Caitlin Clark, there was nobody on that Iowa team could line up with the South Carolina players one-on-one. Because South Carolina just been wiping the floor with everybody. But like anybody who studies the videotape, all teams have weaknesses. And guess what? You better believe they did. Let's go back into the past and talk about a dominant team what was called, you know, the UNLV, UNLV, Stacey Augmon, Larry Johnson, Anderson Hunt. They blew out Duke when they won their championship in 1990. And they were running the course in 1991. But guess what? Outside intimidation, Krzyzewski and the boys start focusing on their weaknesses. And they start studying the videotape and they start going after their weaknesses. And all of a sudden, just like when Mike Tyson got taken out by Buster Douglas, they got exposed because we all have Achilles heel. And since they never expected to be exposed, they didn't have a plan B. They did not have a plan B. They put all their chips for 2 years on the ability to outmuscle people, intimidate people, and run them out of the gym. And when they had never been smacked in the mouth before and they got smacked in the mouth, they weren't prepared for it. It was like they had a glass jaw. So guess what? Dawn Staley, unfortunately, she put her girls in the same situation. And because here's the irony of it. They dominated on the boards, Nick. They had something like 28 offensive rebounds to Iowa's like 7. And they had something like 2 times more shots they put up. And they still lost the game because they didn't take the open shots that were, you know how you self-check. We call it self-check on the court, baby. He self-checked. So they basically got self-checked and self-punked, and that's where the coaching matters. See, there's another idiom in college basketball sports to say coaches, you know, don't win games, but they can lose games. They don't win games, but they can lose games. Meaning when there's an adjustment that has to be made, that's where the advantage of having a great statistician and a great catalyst to actually make adjustments and changes so that you can adjust to the program. Another history lesson. There was a basketball player, and I'm showing my age. His name was Johnny Dawkins and Tommy Amaker. Before Duke became, you know, the Duke powerhouse that they were, Johnny Dawkins was an all-American. Nobody could stop him in the country. He was like Michael Jordan in college. And again, Johnny Dawkins and Tommy Amaker, they were running through the NCAA, and this was the first time they were in position and were picked to be a NCAA champion, which would have been Krzyzewski's first time. And Johnny Dawkins was a prolific scorer. Lefty, could score off the dribble, everything. So the opposing team played what's called a boxing one on him. Took him out of his game and forced the other Duke players to beat him. And obviously, they were not able to. And that's basically a history lesson. So Dawn Staley, in her arrogance, in her vanity, she put her team at a deficit because she didn't show up and change the program. And when the Iowa coach came at her from a different angle that she did not see because she didn't do the research, she allowed her ego and her vanity and her pride to say, no, we're going to still beat them and play the way we play. And we're going to just outmuscle them because we're getting more rebounds and we're going to get to the glass. But unbeknownst to her, she can't control the bad officiating which was in the game, which was on both sides. And both key players in the post, the big white girl for Iowa, Cicero or whatever her name was, and Ali Boston, they got the early fouls, so thus they had to sit down. At that point, there was no other ballers. And then when they did have a baller, the point guard for South Carolina was keeping them in the game. In the second half, they didn't make her the number one option. She literally put the team on the back, but because they were trying to showcase Aaliyah Boston, because she's projected to be the number one draft pick for the WNBA, they were trying to get her back into the flow of the game while the point guard was making it happen. They kept them in the game. They even gave them a chance to actually win it at the end, even though they didn't even deserve to be in the game. So, and on top of that, Caitlin Clark dropped 41 on them, which nobody thought would happen because South Carolina had a stifling, snuff you out type defense that they even beat LSU by 20 points 3 weeks before. But she outplayed them. She had 80-something% of their points. She either scored or distributed the rock on. So once that narrative started to unfold and Dawn Staley did not prepare her girls properly with a B or a C strategy, they lost, and immediately they start playing the victim role. And I know you're watching this, and I'm talking to you, the ladies. You're going to say every excuse you got, but hey, let's put that aside. Let's look at the facts. Go look at the video. Any great coach, no matter what somebody says about their program, no matter what they say about them personally, they do not make excuses for taking them L's. They look at the video, they look at what they called, what they didn't call, and they call a spade a spade. So now that narrative is building up. So guess what? That's great for women's basketball because now you've got the favorite, the powerhouse, South Carolina, just got knocked off. And now all of a sudden you have, unfortunately, in the dichotomy of our United States culture, you see two cultures clash, which we already know that people don't like to talk about. I don't play the victim role, but the reality is, it is what it is. So Caitlin Clark ascending. So you know what? Here's the great white hope. The new Larry Bird. The new Donna Taurasi, whatever. Now I got hope, and they come from the Midwest in Iowa. And here's the irony of it. Iowa won a national championship with a black coach, Vivian Stringer. Wow. See Vivian Stringer. Her first initial is C. I'm not saying go see Vivian Stringer, but you can look her up. C, I don't know what her first name is, but she goes by C. Vivian Stringer. She actually won the girls' national championship back like in 1990. So now you've got a little natural good conflict going, which is good for entertainment. People, ratings are going up. So now they want to see this Caitlin Clark girl drop another 40. She literally set the tournament on fire. She scored more points than any woman scored, albeit she played more games than Cheryl Swoops. Cheryl Swoops scored all her points in just like 4 games. Took Caitlin Clark more than that, but that's irrelevant. But the reality is it added excitement. And everybody wanted to see this game. Now they went from the number 3 option to pick the win in the Final Four to the number 1 favorite against LSU. However, the plot even thickens because LSU comes from the SEC. So the Iowa players, primarily Caitlin Clark, she's talking a little trash, which, hey, I'm good with that. I don't have a problem with that. Hey, if you talk it, back it up. If you can't, hey, eat that L, baby, right? So now they're basically saying they're going to play them the same way they play South Carolina because to them, they have the same makeup. Big girls on in the post, on the front line, Angel Reese, and a couple of, marginal perimeter players, but they have good ball skills, but they don't shoot historically very well, unlike the Iowa players. So now you have great drama for television. So everybody's tuning in, baby, on Sunday afternoon, right? So now LSU, Angel Reese, she takes offense to them, playing South Carolina the way they played them. But why should you take offense over that when I don't care if they're in the SEC? That ain't your team. Focus on you. But the great thing is she internalized that and turned it into a positive. And then their point guard, Alexis, she said, hey, Leave me open like that, and I'm gonna make y'all pay. Because she had a redemption story, right? So this is leading up, man. They get a record. Something at one point, 12.6 million people was watching that NCAA game, and it ended up at 9.9 million, which is an all-time high. It wasn't even close. So at this point, you now have 3 different plots, and everybody wants to watch it. You've got now the new Great White Hope in Caitlin Clark. Can she score another 40? Can she bring Iowa their first championship in 40-something years, right? Now you got Angel Reese, who's now calling herself the Bayou Barbie, and she's building up social media followers like Pac-Man gobbling up dots. And now it's on. Then you have I don't want to call it a controversial coach, but what will be another word we can use? So the coach, Kim Mulkey, she actually won 3 national championships at Baylor, and a lot of black women don't like her because they believe that when Brittany Griner got her first 2 championships, she basically was, using the black player. That and thus is why we're going to talk about the $40 million slave. Okay, so you've got 3 plots going. You feel me? You got Caitlin Clark, now the new superhero. You got Angel Reese, the Bayou Barbie, and then you've got, in some people's eyes, the controversial Kim Mulkey, who just through the power of money took a program that literally 2 years ago was 9-17, and in 2 years in the national championship game, and most people are saying it was bought through NILs and her getting a huge paycheck to leave Baylor, which people were shocked when she left Baylor, because she was just like Gino Auriemma at UConn, or just like Pat, whatever her name, Pat whatever for the University of Tennessee. She had created a monster of a program at Baylor, but she's from Louisiana, but Louisiana got big bucks and they lured her to come to LSU. So you got all this great drama narrative being created, and everybody must watch television. Now, how does that relate to the title of tonight's show is very important. And this is for our community. The first part is vanity, which goes across the landscape for Americans. We're out of control with our vanity, where anything goes as long as you can do something to get $1. You give up your dignity, your self-respect. As long as I'm getting $1, who cares? Angel Reese, insert her, and she infuses a narrative that's positive, maybe semi misunderstood. That's the word I'm gonna utilize. But for me, as a father of 2 daughters, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Okay, very nice young lady, very well spoken. However, here's the challenge. Okay, and we're gonna talk about this. So let's get ready to take a break. Let's get ready to take a break. And I want you to think about this. Let this seep in, because this is what we're missing in the narrative and the editorial that other people don't get. And I hope you understand, because again, I am a father of 2 young daughters, and I get this. And I have a daughter who played basketball, who actually decided to stop playing basketball, and she was pretty good. And I'm explaining to you why she did that and why the NIL vanity is actually doing more damage to our community than it's actually doing in value outside of the dollar. So let's take a quick break. You're watching Family Finance Friday with DJ the Money Coach and my main man, Nick Westbrooks. Tonight's show, Vanity, Angel Reese, NIL, and the $40 million slave 2.0. So we'll be right back after this word. Stay locked in, share, like, and subscribe and tell 5 people right now, because trust me, you ain't going to get this like you're getting it from me, because you're getting it from a coach perspective and a financial perspective, because I got 20 years in this business. Oh, and by the way, let me tell you this. I am also an NI certified agent before most people even knew what NIL was when it first became legalized. So we stay ahead of the cutting edge, and I'm going to bring it home to you. We'll be right back.
All right. We're back.
All right. Welcome back. You're watching Family Finance Friday. DJ the Money Coach, and it is Good Friday. So again, we, say happy Good Friday to all those who celebrate Good Friday. We say, happy and prosperous Ramadan as well. So let's just dive right in. So as I was talking about this, here's the conundrum in our community. Hats off to the fact that Angel Reese was able to pull her team ahead and win the national championship with Alex Morris, with Flau'jae Johnson, with Jasmine. I can't remember her last name. The young lady, she went toe-to-toe with Caitlin Clark in the first half. She dropped 5 out of 5 3-pointers, dropped 21 points in the first half. She lit it up. So guess what? Kim Mulkey actually did not get out coached like Don Staley did, because Kim Mulkey said, you're going to leave us open 5-10 feet, no defender, we pulling the trigger, baby. If we hit or miss, we pulling the trigger, because here's what we know. We will out-rebound you. So taking that strength of position of continued attack basically forced Iowa out of that defense, which made them had to play one-on-one versus packing it into the post. And guess what happened, Nick? Caitlin Clark got in foul trouble. Their center got in foul trouble. Their power forward got in foul trouble. And albeit Angel Reese got in foul trouble. And since, guess what? Just like South Carolina, LSU got a deep bench because they played 9 players consistently. Iowa, on the other side, they only a 5-6 player team. So once their 2 stars got in trouble, dude, it was a wrap. And that's the same thing that Dawn Staley should have done. But she didn't, because again, she let her vanity and her ego get in the way. So now LSU wins the game handily. It is a very competitive game. And then the jesters came out that had already had happened. So we're going to just talk about this real quickly, because I'm not going to make a bunch out of it. Because again, in competitive sports, man, I actually love trash talking. As long as you're not talking about me, my family members, and you're just talking regular trash, hey man, no harm, no foul, baby. I use that as motivation. So as you know, the other narrative just started to unfold, because guess what? We want the great white hope. The young lady did this gesture here, which me, I don't watch sports like that. I am a occasional watcher now, because I have no value in sports anymore, because none of my children play anymore. So I guess this gesture it supposedly had been created by John Cena or some rapper about, you know, you don't see me, whatever. So long story short, Caitlin Clark had been doing that, and she was getting praised for doing it. She's a competitor. She's a queen. You know, she's intelligent. She's blah, blah, blah. You know how they do it. They overemphasize the things that make you look better to make their little kids want to grow up and be, you know, victorious. Now, conversely, Angel Reese, she did it at the end of the game. Now, what the white pundits would say is that she was, you know, blatant with it, meaning she got up in her face and did it. But again, in trash talk, that happens, baby. You talk some trash, I talk some trash, and at the end of the day, you got the W, so I'm letting you know, baby. We brought it. I had no problem with that. It was so funny. I was watching the game, and I was talking to one of my mentors. He was like, man, up to that point, I was loving Angel Reese, but what she just did was classless. I said, no, it's not. I said, in the heat of battle, baby, you're bringing it. And I said, the reality is, she's a nice young lady. So I had no problem with that, Nick. But reality is that was the, you know, fodder that lit social media on fire, because we live in a world full of selfish, insecure, low self-esteem people who need some way to live a better life vicariously through somebody else. So that was their time to shine by getting on social media and blowing it up and pushing a narrative that didn't even exist between the two ladies. And then you had a crazy two white males say some BS that if I would have been there, I would have backslapped both of them. And then you had another double standard just from the gender perspective. Because when guys do that, it's all good. So this young lady, to her credit, she kept her dignity, she kept her composure, and she simply explained why she did the gesture and why she was not backing from it. Now, how does that tie in, DJ, to the NIL? Well, here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to put these two words together: equity and ownership. This young lady, Angel Reese, she came in the transfer portal. She played 2 years at the University of Maryland. She won a Big Ten championship. She was a preseason All-American. And she came to LSU. She only had 70,000 followers. About time she got to the Final Four, her followership rose up to 500,000. She also became the highest paid NIL player in the country. And from the championship game, she gained over 500,000 followers in 48 hours. Wow. Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I want y'all to listen to me. Here's the problem in our society, especially in our own community. Our children are being taught the only way they can succeed is to be entertainers and athletes and show dogs for other people. Why do I say that? You're thinking, well, hey, man, she's now got over 1.5 million followers, so she's going to make $1 million. You know what? That's awesome. She's going to make $1 million. But what is she making $1 million selling? Because the first thing she talked about is, I'm going to be unapologetic, and I have been critiqued as being a thug, being unsophisticated, blah, blah, blah. But here's the reality. Here's the underlining undercurrent for young Black women. I want you to listen to me. As a father of two young, beautiful, smart. Well, first thing, let me backstep that. Here's one thing I never did raising my 4 children, Nick. I never talked about their physical appearance. Never. We have a tendency in our community to, replace the other things traditionally that other communities have. So we overemphasize the vanity of us to make up for stuff. What do I mean? When your child is small and your child had quote unquote good hair, the first thing somebody says when they see your child, oh, such a beautiful kid, beautiful hair. Everything they talk about is external. a show pony. You understand what I'm saying? So what we mentally did, my ex-wife and I, we said, you know what? We're never going to highlight the physical attributes of our children. Never. You know what we're going to focus on? Character, manners, dignity, the name on the back of the jersey. The best thing that you can do for me is that somebody comes up to me and say, hey, your child is unselfish. Your child is intelligent, hardworking, respectful. Those are characteristics of great behavior. And now, guess what? My children are not drawn into physical things that lower their self-esteem if something opposite happens in the physical, vanity, shallow world. So now these young ladies are on this platform, right? And the first thing they're talking about is physical attributes as being a show pony or a trophy for society. And now here's the sad part about it. And you're going to hate me for this, but this is real. I can tell you back in 2007, I had an opportunity, Nick, to own vending machines with hair weaves in them. And I refused to do it. Why is that? Because I did not want to promote the fake products of you hating yourself. So even though you put these wigs and these extensions and these eyelashes on, and it's no excuse to say, well, the white woman does it, the Latino woman does it, the Asian woman does it, but guess what? Do I care about what they do? Because here's the reality of it. Here's the hard reality, Nick, from an economic standpoint. Those women are more likely to get married to a basic man in their culture 3 to 5 to 1 than the women in our culture. And it has nothing to do with those extensions, those eyelashes, etc. But what you're not seeing now is that is becoming the norm and the narrative for our young girls. I can't remember, Nick, 10, 12 years ago when you would look up and every young black girl had braids, eyelashes, and extensions. But today, I'm shocked when I don't see it. And I know you out there don't want to hear that, but it's real. But what are you teaching your young daughter? You're teaching your young daughter that you are not of value without wearing somebody else's hair, eyelashes. You don't love yourself. I want you to let that seep in for a minute. So now you're getting NIL deals on hair, eyelashes, fingernails. And guess what? You're enriching other communities. So even if you got a $1 million bag, you're making the other community tens of millions of dollars. And now the sad part is those two words, equity and ownership, you have neither. In essence, you're going to go read this book, Mom and Dad, about the $40 million slave, which is now should be called the $40 billion slave, because you're creating a cottage industry of weaves, nails, and eyelashes made by Koreans, Europeans, and they're selling it back to you to make them rich. Because now your image of likeness is that you really don't like yourself because you're wearing wigs that straight hair, curly hair that you may not even have. Thus, you are enforcing a stereotype of insecurity and low self-esteem. But you got the bag. But you can never Go be your regular self. Let me give you another history. This is to show you how the future was predicted. One movie, baby. I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. You remember that movie? Anne-Marie Johnson. That movie was what, about 25 years ago? I remember that movie and everybody's laughing their ass off. But could you ever imagine that movie 25 years ago, she gets hooked up with old boy, she takes off the hair, the eyes, the arms, everything. Not only that, from a medical standpoint, it's damaging to the skin, poison to your system. But you're now promoting a cottage industry of self-image problems for our young, beautiful black princesses and queens because you didn't have the intestinal fortitude as a parent. I don't care if you're a single parent. You should have been focusing on your child's academics, their character, their behavior, so they would not have to fall prey to the idiocy of peer pressure. And I hear you. I'm a single parent. Guess what? I came from a single parent household. I have an older sister. And we had the pressures that we went through, but guess what? We knew who we were. And guess what? This is what cracks me up. You always find the first thing that the black woman would tell you, oh, it's less expensive for me to put my child's hair like that. Okay, you know what? I never found anything worth having that was easy. And you're not going to appreciate what I got to say, but guess what? These are the facts. Now let me give you an economic lesson on this. The NIL is producing billions of dollars, and you're one lucky person. You have to understand this. NILs, albeit they're going to make a few more people a little bit more wealthier, but again, how many Angel Reeses are out there in the world? For every one successful Angel Reese, every one successful Caitlin Clark, every one successful Floje Johnson, it's going to take 3 million of the other people to fail for that one person to shine. But you know what? That one person to shine is now telling you, go get the bag, get the eyelashes, get the hair, get the nails, and they have caused the other people to become wealthy. Now, the sad part of it is that their handlers, 9 out of 10 times, Nick, guess who they look like? They don't look like them. And albeit, there you go. They don't look like them. And occasionally the ones that do look like them, they the same pimps. The Rock Nations and all that, they slide over popularity because you checking them out there in your DM and you always have idolized them because you idolize them for the wrong reason. See, again, vanity. You have one person that's being highlighted, albeit she's a very smart young lady. Very articulate. But that's the norm. There's nothing special about that. But God gave her a gift to be 6'3". Now, the beautiful part of this is that it's more profitable for these young ladies to get the NIL money than the WNBA money because it pays less. So the great thing to happen, they'll stay in college longer and they probably will graduate and get some type of degree that they may be able to parlay into something valuable. Because here's the reality. Let them say something that the handlers and the people that run these industries don't like. What happens to those NIL deals? They go just like that. So what you have seen now is the manifestation of the $40 million slave 2.0, which you can call it the $40 billion slave. And this is the sad part, Nick, is that now these young girls are going to be looking up, idolizing these girls for the wrong reason. And now they're going to want to, replicate the same thing. They see them if they don't have strong parenting because they're going to be weak and say, this is the easy way out. I don't have to sling rock no more. I can sling social image now. But it's still the same thing. Except this one don't get you no jail time. And then the undercurrent of that is that these young ladies are going to now start getting more entrenched into that rap culture that denigrates them, objectifies them, and treats them like trash. And here's the funny part about that. You won't hear any black woman talking about that in a negative capacity, because guess what? Miss Angel Reese, Miss Flores A. Johnson, they just got 1 million point something viewers. They now making $500,000 to $1 million in NIL contracts. They won. But the reality is, Nick, they haven't, because history always repeats itself. You could be rest assured those young ladies don't know nothing about money from a financial literacy standpoint. And even when I heard the young lady Flores A. Johnson said, I'm not spending any money or anything, well, guess what? You don't know anything about money. It's good you're going to put aside, but what do you know about accounting? What do you know about tax laws from state to state, the Jordan tax rule, when Michael Jordan blew up the NBA, and then industries and states got, jealous of Jordan's, prolific income, and they start taxing him per state. It's called the Jordan tax law. But if you don't know about taxes, you wouldn't know that. So how can a 18-year-old tell me about the tax law state to state? Because guess who they're going to get tax advice from? The person's handling is going to hook them up with their homeboy or homegirl. And 9 out of 10 times, they don't look like them. 9 out of 10 times, they come from single families, and they're now the breadwinner for their families. So who's going to listen to whom? If you're not tough enough to tell your child, I don't care if you make $100 million more than I do, you're going to do what I say, because that name on the back, because when all this shine is over, guess who the only person going to be in your corner? It's me. So what we have to have the ability to do right now is come together collectively and cut the BS. The black women got to get off of that high horse and hold themselves accountable to the social image double standards that they don't really acknowledge unless they're being called a victim. The reality is, guess what? That young girl was dropping dimes on the sisters, and you automatically know that there's a double standard on these platforms. So why even talk about it? Go tell your kid or your child or your daughter, work harder, work smarter. Take advantage of the technology that's booming, the NILs and the advertisements, because that's all it's about at the end of the day, Nick. They're not giving out name, image, and licensing contracts if they can't sell a bunch of stuff to your community. They're not giving out NIL contracts unless they can sell advertisements on your platform. And let me show you how disgusting the world is from a vanity standpoint. You would think right now that women, all, just like I love the way Angel Reese handled Jill Biden dumb self. She said, you're supposed to support me because I'm a woman. But what you fail to think and forget is that, guess what? She don't see you as her equal. And that's just the way it is, baby. But you don't allow that to, lessen your, climb to the top of the mountain. You use that. And she handled that very well. But here's the reality. From a vanity standpoint, these women nowadays with this transgender BS, those same women, crickets. You hear me? This fool, Dylan, whatever his name, McAvoy or whatever the hell, just got endorsements by Nike to wear women's sports bras. And check this out, Nick. This will make you sick. Tampax is actually sponsoring this kid.
Yeah, I heard.
And you don't hear no women talking about it. But guess what? Like I said, I have 2 daughters. So if my daughter still plays sports and there was a transgender about to play against them, we're not playing, baby. Because now we've gone down the wrong trail. We are off the rails, and the social experiment has gone all the way up to the White House, where the wrong people, weak leadership, is now saying that they're not going to stop this silliness. And what they could do is say, we're going to create a third category, a transgender category, where they can compete against them own damn selves. Because here's what I can guarantee you 110%. You're not going to see a woman that changes into a man and try to compete against men at the highest level. You know why? Because physically they can't. But you see these guys given the freedom to change, and they ain't even changed. They just identify themselves, and they still get men equipment. So where are the women at? Where are the black women on these platforms talking out against that? They quiet as crickets. You know why? Because they got to get paid in a check. Because you know why? Them two magic words, equity and ownership. They don't own jack because they want the quick dollar versus building a foundation and owning it 100% themselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to implore you, women, men, listen to me. If your child has been blessed by God to get all of these followers, why don't you do some research and joint venture partner with the person who's trying to give you money, and you can get equity and ownership? Because here's the ultimate lesson, Nick. Michael Jordan's deal with Nike, he don't even have a joint partnership. He gets 5 cents on the dollar. Right now, they can level the playing field if they said, you know what? You want to be on my platform? Guess what? Give me 5% equity in the company. You just got the lesson with Kanye. He had a licensing agreement with Adidas. He didn't have equity and ownership. That's a different ball game, baby. But guess what? Because you come from a single parent household, because you come from an impoverished situation with a mom and dad, you're taking the first bag you can get because you're taking the quick money. You ain't taking the long money. But if you are a scholarship athlete, you can afford to wait it out. Did you just hear me? If you're a scholarship athlete, you can afford to wait it out. And then if you don't do that, do some research and go get yourself some business with people that look like you and highlight them, and stop going into these European stores. The first thing you always hear these damn children say, I don't care if it's boys, I don't care if it's young men, I don't care if it's young girls or young women, the first thing come out of their damn mouth, because they've been programmed. Oh, I'm so happy I can go get a Louis Vuitton. Oh, I want to get the contract with Fendi or whatever Rihanna's company that she don't own. You're so happy to put a European name on your back. That's not success. You're never going to see Johnson & Johnson say, hey, I want to stop producing my products and I want to go get with ABC company. You're not going to see Lamborghini say, I want to wear Ferrari. So why are you doing it? Lack of education. Lack of true belief in yourself. So, Nick, let's go to the break, man, because I am fired up. So at the end of the day, you're not going to get this message. And guess what? If you're mad, you're supposed to be, because I'm telling you the truth. As my man Samuel L. Jackson said in Do the Right Thing, I'm telling you the truth, Ruth. So you ought to get mad. Because, see, if you ain't getting mad, guess what? It's over your head. Because if you go in their community and tell them you want to NIL them with your product and you got the money, they're going to laugh your ass out of their neighborhood. Did you hear what I said? They're going to laugh your ass out of the neighborhood. Because last time I checked, Nick, show me where they got a black town in every major community. They got a soul town. But every major metropolitan city, baby, they got Chinatown, Koreatown. And they got them right in your neighborhood. You go get Chinese food, you got a Chinaman with a Mexican cooking for them. Y'all get that way and well. Again, baby, you're watching Family Finance Friday. We're talking about Vanity, which is the main reason why all this stuff is happening. Angel Reese, she's the social experiment. She's a lovely lady. She's intelligent. She's smart. She's a hard worker. But the reality is, she is just a tool that's being manipulated, and she thinks that she's winning temporarily, and I hope that she gets equity and ownership, and she's got the right people around her. But the reality is, baby, history repeats itself. So the $40 million slave that was written in 2006 is now the $40 billion slave thanks to the NIL and social media. So we're going to be right back after this word from our sponsors. Man, get fired up, share this, like, subscribe, and at the end of the day, get yourself educated on how money really works. We'll be right back.
Another banger, baby, calm down, calm down. Yo, this your body, it puts in my heart for lockdown, oh lockdown. Yo, you sweet life, phantom, phantom. If I tell you say I love you, no day for me, young girl, oh young girl. No tell me no, 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 oh, 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 oh. Baby, come give me your lo, 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 oh, 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 oh. You got me like whoa, 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 whoa. Shawty gon' give me your lo 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 whoa 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 whoa. I see this fine girl from my party, she wear yellow.
All right. Welcome back. Nick, do me a favor. Pull up our website, Escape to Zanzibar, baby. Because, see, this is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. Equity and ownership. I want you to burn this into your brain. Equity and ownership, baby. Equity and ownership. Because guess what? We're showing you the beautiful Zanzibar, Africa. You know why? Because we got equity and ownership in Africa. And we're inviting you to come on the second annual trip with us. July 18th, July 27th. Can you scroll down, Nick? Scroll down and let them see some of the other tabs. Matter of fact, let's see here. Let's scroll down. Click on that one right there for us. So click on that one right there with Pam for us. Click on that one. Because here's what I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen.
It's DJ the Money Coach in Paradise. That's right. We're live in Zanzibar, baby. But we want to give you the pom-pom lifestyle. You know, plenty of money, peace of mind. Come join us on the beaches of the World Club.
Hello, everyone. I am in Zanzibar, Tanzania. I have spent the last week here enjoying, just soaking up the natural earth, learning about what this continent has to offer, and eating the best fruit, vegetables, seafood that I've ever tasted in my life. You don't have to spend a lifetime here, but spend some time.
And join us. But you got to hit that link, baby.
Yeah, so it's a world-class trip. And the great thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, we own it. I want you to understand that. Equity and ownership. Amazing. 8 days, 7 nights, 3 incredible excursions, transportation, world-class venue. Yeah, scroll down, Nick. Nice and slow so they can see. So that link is right in the description. Hit that link. We got about 10 spots left. You can come take a world-class bucket list trip. But most importantly, we will actually show you how to own and have equity in the motherland. So you don't have to worry about the NIL. That could be icing on top of the cake, baby. Real talk. So we are unapologetic about going back to Africa and putting our roots in the ground, baby. This is what it's all about. It's spectacular. And you deserve to have that bucket list trip. But most importantly, you deserve to own a piece of paradise. Because guess what? It's hard to own everything in America. And America's the best country. But hey, there's other opportunities for you out there. You got to get outside, get your passport, and rock and roll with us, Nick. So yeah, man, great stuff. You can take that down. And let's just talk a little bit more real quickly, because here's the thing. If you don't start making changes and sticking to principles, there's a saying, if you don't stand for something, you fall for everything. And if your God is money now, you're gonna nothing more than be the person that pushes this false narrative into a godless society. And we're all flawed, ladies and gentlemen. But at some point in time, we got to have real leaders stand up and be accountable for something. Real leaders to invest in themselves. Cooperative economics. Do your network. Create your own ecosystem. Stop taking the quick dollar. If you have no choice but to do it, take that first contract and leverage the second contract. Talk joint venture partnerships, equity and ownership, and you're going to get some pushback. But if you believe in yourself, just like you chasing these sports, you can win. See, that's the thing. If you really believe in yourself, you will make the investment instead of letting somebody else control you. You may say $1 million, $40 million, that's more money you ever seen. But guess what? If they giving you $1 million, they giving you 40 million, they're making 400 million. They're making 100 million. In corporate America, whatever you make, your boss or your company is making 10x. That's just the formula. There's a saying, once you get so far into your career, you become a 3-for-1. What is that? That means I've got 20 years in an industry at a job, and now I'm so expensive, I can hire 2 to 3 young professionals to do my job. Maybe it's not the highest proficiency, but I can level them up over a period of time and cut you and save money. How do we know that's true? Well, we'll go back to sports, because unfortunately, most of our people, unfortunately, are teaching their children. And here's the ironic part about it, Nick. The stuff you see on television only represents about 5 to 10% of our community, when the other 85 to 95% are professionals like us, or working class blue collar people who are making a living. But since you have no better thing to do but find time on social media, you're thinking that that's the only way, and you're forcing yourself down a no-win proposition. And that's a lottery ticket. So now you immediately drop your morals, drop your principles. Even in the same vein, you got 2-parent household like Ja Morant, and now his parents have abdicated their role because he's making $240 million. So his dad then lost his balls and became his homie instead of his father, and tell him, look, man, what you're doing is stupid. I don't give a damn about your money. Because when it's gone, guess who you coming back to? And guess what? And the first thing the enemy is going to tell you, oh, don't listen to them. They just talking to you because of well, where you at? Where you come? Did you know me when my dad was out there teaching me how to hoop at 8, 9, 10 years of age? Where were you at? Think about that. You ought to ask that same question. Where we are, but you showed up when I was already a proven product. And only you can get me to the next level and handle my money. Isn't that amazing? But flip that coin, and the converse is true. You don't see Asian athletes being repped by black agents. You very rarely see white athletes being repped by black agents. Why is that? But guess what? 90% of the black athletes, they rep by people that don't look like them, Nick. And they do it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. And then they try to shame you to death if you try to rep yourself. So again, here's the message. Kudos to all those smart, intelligent, hard-working, 10,000-hour athletes who are getting NIL opportunities, but show yourself to a higher accountability. Invest in your community. Do cooperative economics. And then love yourself. And then promote Black companies and Black products made by us, and you'll get a better outcome. It's going to take a little bit longer, going to be a little bit more struggle, but guess what? Here's the false narrative. People say, oh, I can't work with family and friends. No, what you can't work with is people who don't share the same morals, ethics, and business principles, because dogs, snakes, and charlatans come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. And you just did not take the patience and time to find the righteous men and women in your community. Or you allow vanity and the social narrative to get you all the way off the beaten path, and you start accepting things that'll never be true from a physical, scientific perspective. There's no way that a man is ever going to be a woman, and there's no way a woman is ever going to be a man. And shame to you, women, who are allowing Title IX to get appropriated by transgender men who ain't even had the full surgery, and they still got their equipment. And I'm talking to all the women out there. I don't care what color you are. If you are someone who is talking about the power of the woman and you're not standing up against the transgender, shame on you. You're no different than the house Negro against the field Negro. So, Nick, let's run another break. We're going to come right back. You're watching Family Finance Friday with DJ the Money Coach, my man Nick. We're talking about Vanity, the super smart, intelligent Angel Reese, the name, image, and license bonanza, and what used to be the $40 million slave in 2006 is now the $40 billion slave 2.0. And yours truly, I am a name, image, and license certified agent, and I have been for 2 years when it first got off the track, baby. So we'll be right back. Enjoy this, share it, subscribe, and like, and let's light it up on fire. And I welcome your comments, positive or negative. Come at me, baby. I want to hear what you got to say. Do you stand for something, or you rolling for the dollar? Because if you're rolling for the dollar, easy come, easy go, we'll still be here. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is DJ the Money Coach on top of the rooftop of my building, baby, in Zanzibar. And I don't party alone. I bring the team. Team, where you at? Woo! That's right. We live in the pom-pom lifestyle, baby. And what's the pom-pom lifestyle? It's plenty of money, peace of mind. Team, what's the movement? Pom-pom lifestyle. That's right, baby. All you got to do is hit that link and do the 4 dirty little words. Discipline, accountability, plug into the 7 spheres of money, do the work in 2 to 5 years, and you can have this too. Come join us on the beaches of the World Club in Zanzibar, baby. Woo! Woo!
That's right. That's right. We're back, baby. You probably asking yourself, how does that fit into what you were talking about? Real simple, baby. Real simple. Check it out. We're showing you equity and ownership in the motherland. So that first video that you saw, that was actually our beautiful, paid for condominium on the Indian Ocean in Zanzibar. That's right. And we actually, the second video is us up on top of the roof of that condo having a great time. Did you see that sunset? Did you see the Indian Ocean in the backdrop? Ask yourself a question. Why not me? Why not now? Guess what? You can, baby, because in the link, we're actually going to show you how to own a piece of paradise for pennies on the dollar. Now, let me tell you this. This ain't for everybody. Number one, you got to be a visionary. You got to see out in the future and make the future the present. Because everything that you're participating in, somebody had a vision for it. And if it wasn't your vision, you're basically promoting somebody else's life. So why not live your own life and own it 100% and take some foundational risk and invest in yourself? That's what I'm talking about, baby. So that's what we're doing. The pom-pom lifestyle, plenty of money, peace of mind is a movement. That is a movement that's 20 years in the making, and you're getting the message right here, right now. So I want to challenge you to either, number one, take a trip to the beautiful motherland. Number two, own it as well, baby. Because guess what? If you don't know, the narrative in the United States is changing rapidly because China is out of control. If you don't know what I'm talking about, and we'll talk about this in another episode, but I'm just going to give you a little taste. Find out what BRIC is. Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and Saudi Arabia are now in cahoots to change the currency and push the US dollar out of pocket. Now, you're probably saying, hey, man, 2/3 of the world base their, Federal Reserve on the US dollar. But guess what? Every empire over the last 5,000 years that walked away from God destroyed itself. And you know what? Ours is coming right over the horizon. So you better start preparing for it. And the best way to prepare for it is to get and expand your horizon. That's right. Expand your horizon. But let's get back in and we're going to wrap this thing up. Why is it important for you talking to your young children right now? And I'm going to tell you this with emphatic passion, is that right now you're watching this. You should be sharing this with 5 other people right now. You're so locked in to listening to bullcrap on these social mediums that you don't get the real truth that can change your life because you want it quick. And in a recession, you know what people do? They spend more money on entertainment because they live vicariously through other people instead of getting into the trenches and going to work harder and smarter. So what I want to encourage you to do is, one, get your young children off of the platform. Have them pick up a book and read and apply it. Number two, if your child has a gift, teach them about money right now. Teach her about money. If you have children 7 to 21, tell them, force them to spend an hour a week minimum learning about money and how money works, how business works, how entrepreneurship works. And don't always try to get all the answers on the internet. Go to the licensed professionals. Because 90% of stuff you see on these platforms is all a fugazi. It's somebody who read a book, regurgitated, and because they willed themselves to success, they now become your expert, and they really aren't an expert. There's a reason why there's license required. There's a reason why there's a Security Exchange Commission. There's a reason why there's a Better Business Bureau. But at the end of the day, you've got to have equity and ownership. And I don't care if you don't have financial education and financial literacy, you can always get it. You can get it right here. We provide 3 different programs. We provide a masterclass to teach you about business, real estate, leveraging the tax laws, and showing you how to earn passive income of $8,333 a month in a 2 to 5 year program that's based on 6 weeks of you digging in. And guess what? I am a licensed professional. I have been doing this for 20 years. I have sat down with over 35,000 people face to face before most of you even knew what an internet was. We also have a junior program for young children, age 7 to 11. Teach them about money, teach them about dividends, teach them about business, teach them about entrepreneurship. And then we have a youth program for children 12 to 18 and even to 21. Teach the same thing. So those young people who have the NILs that have been handled by somebody else, they need financial education. Because here's the irony. We're sitting down with professionals every day that some of them make $200,000, $300,000, and they can't put $50,000 together. Now, if they can't put $50,000 together, but your young daughter, your young son getting this NIL deal for $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a milli, you think they gonna be able to keep that money when their parents couldn't? Now, one of them will get lucky and get the right team, but the majority of them will be broke, just like the $40 million slave. These are facts. So ask yourself, what's more important, the vanity or character? Here's what I tell my children. I said, emulate, don't duplicate. Emulate principles of success and never hang around somebody who has less to lose than you do. And last case, guess what? Your mom and your dad, your auntie, your uncle, your grandparents, they're going to always be here for you. Read, apply. That's what you need to do. And that vanity will never be effective. Are you human? Absolutely. But the more you build your foundation and the stronger you enforce it and you don't back down on it, you'll be surprised over time how you will win. But because you're bought into a microwavable society, you're thinking everything happens instantaneously because you're watching it on social media. And now you have become a tool for the toolers who are creating a narrative for you on TikTok, IG. There's some good things, but most of it is trash. So we're going to be right back, and we're going to come back to you, and we're going to close out why vanity, why that smart, hardworking, intellectual Angel Reese is a winner in the NIL, but the most important part, got to make sure that her and other NIL winners actually have a foundation, learn about financial education, put their ducks in a row, get the Pay Yourself First program so they will not be another person that's going to be a nobody in the future, and better yet, create a whole bunch of other cottage industries of multi-billionaires and 100 millionaires in somebody else's community, because that's what they are, even though they don't realize it. In worst case scenario, they have an image problem, ladies and gentlemen. Because if they didn't, guess what? They would wear their own natural hair. They would wear their own natural eyelashes. And they would wear their own natural nails. Now, I'm not saying you can't highlight and access. Don't get me wrong. I like a little bit of access. But hey, I like natural. You see what you get. I don't want to, I'm going to get you sucker me. And I love all our smart, hardworking, intellectual, skilled driven black women and brothers. If you get my point. We'll be right back. You're watching Family Finance Friday with DJ the Money Coach and my main man, Nick Westbrooks. Share, like, and subscribe. Hit them likes. They're free, baby. I'm giving you massive nuggets, but unfortunately, I'm going to be real with you. Only about 5% of you actually going to catch what I'm doing, and out of that 5%, only about 5% going to apply it. The rest of you going to be like, boop, on to the next program. That's why the algorithm is the way the algorithm is, because if you got what I really gave you, we all will be free in 2 to 5 years. We'll be right back.
Living life in color. Everything around me looks so beautiful and sweet. Heavenly desire. Everything so bright, it's like a brand new movie scene. All the immersive colors, picture, perfect, vibrant, gamer's paradise. And the world keeps going around. I feel good. I got so much to smile about, and you know that I'm keeping you so close, so you don't feel the cold. Let my arms just warm you now. Let's show the world just what we're made of. Two hearts that can do anything. Nothing that comes our way is too tough. No, not for our love. Not for our love, our love, our love. Oh, love. I love. Our love. Oh, love, I love, I love. Our friends can say that we're crazy, but they don't see what was written in the stars. So we'll go fly over the...
All right. Welcome back. We're closing out. What you just have seen, you've seen this amazing resort that we are building. That's right, baby. We are building. That's right. You heard it right here. We are building. Our hard labor, our hard dollars, our vision to bring the future to you. If you understand, it is obtainable, baby. Here's another thing I want to tell you. These other communities and organizations, they have been taught from the day they come out of the womb how to be parasitic and attack your host. What do I mean? They know when to show up for that one lottery winner who got the gene pool gift from God to surround you with the entrapments to help you come their way so they can actually, control you. How do they do that? They give you a little bit of nuggets. And they tell you, I got this, I got that. Like you don't know nothing because they know you don't know anything. And all they got to do is dangle a little bit of, money in front of you. A couple of, products. So you should be on guard and you should know. First thing I would tell you, go check out the National Black Association of Accountants. Get yourself a great accountant. Get yourself a great attorney. And get yourself a great financial planner. And there are a multitude of them that look like you and I that do an extraordinary job. Go on LinkedIn. Reach out. We can show you and tell you something. So what we're trying to do is expand your horizons to show you this ain't the exception, baby. This is the rule. But since we're not out here shaking our butts, tweaking and doing silly stuff for likes and followers, We're not going to have the same penetration on this platform, but guess what? We're not about, quantity, baby. We're about quality. And that's more important than anything. So I'm excited for your future, for your child's future. And I'm excited that I know for a fact that you're watching this, you're listening to this, you are a person that has integrity. You have discipline. And most importantly, you believe in God. And you know right now that God don't like this crap that's happening out there. And I know you will stand in the gap for your children and your children's children, and you will not play the victim card instead of competing against these people. Now, don't get me wrong. Every now and then there is a victim situation, but 9 out of 10 times it's not. You should be playing defense from the jump and then have a great offense. But you can't do that if you're not standing on principles and you're not emulating instead of duplicating and copying other people like sheep. That's the hard reality. So let your vanity go aside. There's nothing special about any of us. The best success comes from hard work, discipline, accountability, professionalism, persistently pursuing your plan, perseverance, and performing when the opportunity presents itself, just like the amazing Angel Reese, Flau'jae Johnson, and the LSU Tigers. My hat's off to you. But more importantly, mom and dads, make sure you protect your children's enterprise and don't be a weak parent, even though your child now out-earns you. Stand on principle, because they will come back to you when all the shine is off. Because the numbers are the numbers, baby. The reality is all of these kids, only a small percentage of them are actually going to have a long-term career and keep the money that they're earning right now. These are facts, baby. Look it up. Nothing new under the sun. So if you think all these children who are getting these NIL deals, they're going to be wealthy for the rest of their lives, it's going to be impossible if they don't have a strong foundation. They don't have a great accountant. They don't have a great attorney. They don't have a great financial planner that they can trust. And that's going to take time to build up, because most cases, they are not represented by people that look like them. And I hear you. Yeah, we get taken advantage by our own people. Well, you know what? If I'm going to lose, which I don't lose hardly at all, I'd rather lose with my own people than lose with a fucking stranger. Real talk. Because 9 out of 10 times, that person don't give a fuck about you. Because when the money's gone, they're gone. And when you think that you're the know-it-all, guess what? You're the mark. Those are the facts. So pardon my French, but don't miss the message. So like, subscribe, and share. And I challenge you to blow us up. This is our 3rd year anniversary on this platform, but we've been in business for 20 years, baby. And I challenge you to share this information with people who are real like us and stand on something. And we're not fighting against each other. See, we embrace everybody in our community. And we got to learn to rise up together on principles, ethics, and morals, and we can win together. So we wish you, number one, 100% great health. And we want you to come join us in the Pom Pom Lifestyle Movement. That's plenty of money, peace of mind. Come join us on the beaches of the World Club. That's in Zanzibar. And right now, join us. July 18th, July 27th, and we're going to show you a world-class trip, and then we're going to show you a world-class, beautiful resort owned. That's right. By us, for us, but we are business people, and we provide an opportunity to everybody. But when's the last time you seen somebody like you that owns something as beautiful as we shown you? Very few and far between. And guess what? All these people getting these NILs, they're putting their money in other people's pockets, in other people's dreams, and other people's projects. And you know what? All we ask, hey, vet us, baby. And if we are good enough for Chase Bank, and if we're good enough for the Montgomery Regional Airport in Alabama, and we're good enough for the YMCA, and we're good enough for RC Cola, all these Fortune 500 and Fortune 1 companies, well, it might be good enough for you. So, Nick, take us home, baby. Happy blessed Good Friday. Happy Ramadan to you. And thank you for sharing your hour and a half with us on amazing April 7th. And happy anniversary to us. Stay tuned. On April 20th, we're going to be doing some amazing stuff, and you want to be a part of it. So don't miss the action. I'm DJ the Money Coach on behalf of Nick Westbrooks. Take us home, baby. We'll see you next time.
All right, everybody. Good night. We'll see you next Friday.
Another banger, baby, calm down, calm down. Yo, this your body, it puts in my heart for lockdown, oh lockdown. Yo, you sweet life, phantom, phantom. If I tell you say I love you, you know they for me, young girl, oh young girl. No, tell me no, 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 oh, 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 oh. Baby, come give me your lo, 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 oh, 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 oh. You got me like whoa, 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 whoa. Shawty, come give me your lo, 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 lo.